Hey, Algebra 1, for this Lesson 2, Activity 2, City Cat, Country Cat, there were 200 people that were asked if they prefer dogs or cats and whether they live in a rural or urban setting. The actual values collected from the survey are in this first table, so these are all the actual values. We're going to continue on and look at these other tables, and then we're going to answer some questions about what information is given to us. In this next page here, and this is in your book as well, this table shows what percentage of the 200 people included are represented by each combination of categories. The segmented bar graph represents the same information graphically. So we have urban and rural, and then we have cats and dogs, and you can see the same information in the graph. The next table, the second one, shows the percentage of each column that had a certain pet preference in the column relative frequency table. The segmented bar graph represents the same information graphically. So there's two different pieces of information there. We're going to look at one more table, and then we're going to answer some questions. This last table shows the percentage of each row that live in certain area in a row relative frequency table. The segmented bar graph represents the same information graphically. So these are the 7 questions we're going to be answering using these graphs. So in the next few slides, I've included all of the graphs on that page, and for one question. So we'll go through each of those together. For each relative frequency table that I've given, select a percentage and explain how numbers from the original table were used to get the percentage. So for this first table here, we used the urban, rural, cat, dog. The 27% that we found came from 54 out of your total 200. For that second frequency table, your 40% that we found in urban came from the 54 that we got out of the 134, okay, because that was total there. And then for our last frequency table, the 56% came from our 54 out of a total of 96 cats. So that's where we got all of our percentages from each of the tables. You could have had other answers that would have been correct as well, because we were just supposed to share one of the percentages. So I chose in the first frequency table the 27%, and in the second one I chose the 40%, and the last one I chose that 56%. So you can see the titles that I'm looking at. For the second question, what percentage of those surveyed live in an urban area and prefer dogs? We're going to look at the first frequency chart to help us answer the question. You can see in this first table we're finding urban and dogs, and you can see that each of those show a 40% value. So that's our solution for number 2. In this next question, since we're looking at the people surveyed that prefer dogs and not the total percentage, that means we're going to be looking at the chart down here, and we're going to use that chart to answer a question. You can see that the people that were surveyed that wanted dogs and the people surveyed that were urban, they intertwine or share common grounds at that 77%. So it ends up being 77% surveyed that preferred dogs. The percentage of them that live in the urban setting is 77%. Because in this one we are looking at people surveyed in the urban setting preferring dogs, we're going to look at that second table there that's going to help us solve our problem. If you look at how many of the people responded that they prefer dogs and live in an urban setting, when we're looking at numbers, we're going to have to go back up to this top table, and we're going to be looking at the urban as well as the dog right here, and that shows us that there are 80 people. Among the people surveyed, are there more people who prefer dogs or cats? So right here is our dog total and our cat total. So you can see people actually prefer dogs, but not by much. There's only about an 8 count difference. All right, with putting a billboard up in a rural setting and trying to decide whether we should advertise for dog food or cat food on this billboard, I'm going to be looking at this urban and rural percentages right here, it looks like the rural community prefers cats. So I would advertise for those cats in that setting. So my answer would be cats, and just because their percentage is higher in that region. In order to answer the first question, we have to take our 27 out of 113 total cases to get 24%. 17 out of 113 for cold lasts a week or more for group A, and then 53 out of the total 113 to find the colds lasts a week or more group B percentage. For our next table, we had to find out our total between group A and group B for colds that last less than a week to find our percentages at 63%. And the same thing, we had to total the bottom for that one and find out that it was 17 over 70, which is about 24%. And lastly, the 53 over 70, which is about 76%. And you can see that both of these totals add up to 100% right there horizontally. When we start to look at this last one, we're going to have to find the group A totals. So we get 33, and then we're taking the percentage of each column and each box. For group B, we're going to find the total of group B, which is 80. And then we take the percentages of each section, so 34% and 66%. So in order to understand the results, the researchers want to know, among people whose colds lasted less than a week, what percentage are in group B? Explain your reasoning. Well, the answer would be 63%, since that second table that we drew shows the percentage of people with shorter or longer colds in each group. That's the one we would use. If the researchers believe the vitamin C has a small effect on the length of a cold, which group most likely got the pills containing vitamin C? Explain your reasoning. Well, group A most likely received the pills containing vitamin C, since greater percentage of that group had colds that lasted less than a week based on that last table. So we would say group A for this one, okay? And then up here we had 63%. And if you have any questions on those, let me know tomorrow in class. This concludes the work we're going to do over our video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you can bring it to class when you come. All right, we'll see you later.